being able to see you. So good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. This is a different kind of a thing for me today. I'm starting a series on prosperity, but it's not the same old, rah, 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 let's get the money and get it done kind of prosperity. Maybe I'm changing, I don't know. But what I want to do is I want to look at different levels of prosperity and what that means. And the thing that came up to me is the prosperity of becoming. What Ernest Holmes said in the textbook is, if you want to have more, you must first be more. And so for 25 years, both in Florida and in North Carolina, my license tag has said, be more. Because the only way to have more is to be more. It certainly is not about doing more. I have tried that. And frankly, I seem to be in a little cycle of that again that I'm looking at. It's not about doing more. When you do more, if you're not doing it consciously, if you're not focused on what you're doing, then you're just going to spin faster and faster like the hamster in the wheel. So it's about being more. It's about becoming more. And as you become more, the outer cannot help but shift into moreness, since the outer is a reflection of the inner. I was at the farmer's market yesterday. I don't know if you like to buy produce in bulk form. I do. Even if I don't eat it, I think it's an art, a piece of art. I'll just stack it on my counter. It drives John crazy, because I'll put like a half a bushel of tomatoes and just look at it. I don't have to eat them. I'm happy to compost them. They're fine, but I think they're beautiful. And so I was at the farmer's market getting the apples that are out in the social hall today, and I noticed it is truly the time of harvest. There are mountains of pumpkins and squash. I actually got a lovely blue Hubbard squash, which is going to be turned into pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. But there are squashes and pumpkins and corn and beans and still tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and onions and potatoes, and there's just mountains of food, not to mention the apples that are out there. It's amazing. This is the time of harvest. And I think it's very natural for us to open up to this idea of harvest in our lives. If there's harvest on the outside, it's a natural process. I want to experience, being in alignment with everything around me, the harvest in my life. So I have to look at what I planted. Yeah. Because the only reason that there are mountains of produce a mile away at the farmer's market is because someone planted those. Someone, probably a good year ago, started thinking about what they were going to plant, how maybe they were going to plant a cover crop or fertilize their fields, when they were going to begin the spring plowing and the planting, and how all of that was going to come together. And then they didn't just think about it, they actually did it. And not only did they plant it, but they took care of the fields while they were growing. And then they got to have a harvest. And harvests don't just happen. You notice they don't go from the field to the farmer's market all on their own. The little pumpkins don't sprout wings and just kind of fly over to where someone's selling them. There is a process involved of picking and crating and transport and getting rid of the things that we didn't want to have that came up. Maybe we didn't really want to plant the weeds that came up, but we're not going to harvest those. We're going to use some discernment and say, that may be in my life, but I'm not going to take it. Not like, I'm not going to take it. Just, I'm not going to take it. I don't need that one. I'll move on to what I want. And then you get to have the harvest. So in this time of such beautiful harvest and abundance all around us, I think it's a good time to look at what we've planted. And whatever we have planted is going to show up in our lives. I got to tell you, I marvel at how often this teaching is used as a desire to have no work, no effort involved. And I did this. You know, I showed up in Science of Mind in 1978 in Eugene, Oregon. I was broke. I was on food stamps. I was giving plasma twice a week. I was on welfare. I had a 3-year-old child. I had no idea what I was doing. And I heard that if you follow this teaching, you will become rich. Boy, I was interested. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to have the things I want to have. I want to buy what I want to have. I want to go where I want to go. I want to do what I want to do. I want that. And my guess is you do too. I didn't listen all the way to that thing where Ernest said, if you want to have more in your life, you must first become more. Because what that means and what I didn't want to hear is I had to stop being angry with my first husband. And I didn't hear that all the way through the divorce of my second husband. Now maybe if I had listened that first time around, I wouldn't have had to do the dance the way that I did it the second time. I listened the second time, so that my dance with John is completely different than all of my other long-term relationships in my life, which were strangely similar to my experience with my father. There's something in us that keeps us in the environment that we have created. And if we want to change that environment, we have to change inside of us. That is the way to go about prospering. And so very often we translate prosperity to give me the money, give me the money, give me the money. Don't get me wrong, I love money. I collect $100 bills. I particularly like Ben Franklin. I just think that it makes me feel good. This center, it's a $30,000 a month expense to keep the doors open. So I'm all about how we are in the flow, and money is a good thing. But when we do things only to have money, we are shortchanging ourselves. And whereas we can create money, if we don't change, we're only going to create the same problem over and over again. Have you noticed that? Maybe you go see a practitioner and they treat that you have an abundance of money to pay your mortgage, pay your rent, buy your car, do whatever it is you need to do. But then it's a month later and you're back at that same practitioner. And after you do that a couple of times, most of our practitioners will say, wait a minute, we need to talk. We need to talk about the underlying issue that is manifesting itself as a reoccurring problem. Now, the important thing to understand is that all of the universe is moving us forward into an evolution process of consciousness. We got to fight really hard to stay stuck, and some of us are really good fighters. We have to fight really hard to resist the flow of life. But I guarantee you that one day or another, you will be moved along into greater levels of love, greater levels of prosperity, greater levels of joy. You have to. You don't have a choice. You can slow it down, but it will happen. And so if we are moving into this greater awareness of consciousness, this evolution of consciousness, and I believe that we are the light bearers of humanity on planet Earth. I don't know if you've looked around at most of the people and how they're living. We're the light bearers. We're saying, wait a minute, there's no foreign country anymore. There are no lines in the sand. It's all us. If one person hurts, we all hurt. So let's lift all of us up and have more than enough. We're the light bearers. And so here we are moving forward probably at a very rapid rate. And there are these things that we have to let go of to be able to grow and to be more. Now the flip side of that is that in this teaching also, we teach you that everything is in perfect order. You can create the circumstances in your life so that the doors are open, your way is made clear, all of life supports you in everything that you are manifesting. That's true. But if I are creating a blockage to that, then I have to look at that which I am setting up for myself to block me. Now, there's no other people doing it to me. There's no other people doing it to you. We create the obstacles that stop us from experiencing life as this incredibly blissful blessing that it is. We hold ourselves back, and we do it by playing small. We do it by not being willing to let go of that which keeps us small. And so people come to see me and they say, I really want to prosper, but let me tell you about my neighbor. They're driving me crazy, and I am going to call the cops, and yada, yada, yada. They come in, they say, I really want to prosper, but oh, my ex is trying to take my child away, and that's not going to happen. If I don't win in court, I'm going to grab them and move away. They come in and they say, oh, I really want to prosper, but. And as Reverend Ike says, it's time to get your butt out of the way. Because whatever all of that is, that's us. That's us saying, oh, no, 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 you don't really want to prosper, because if you're going to prosper, then fill in the blank. Then what? Then what are you going to do? If you really had all of the money that you wanted or needed in life, then what? You couldn't sit in the corner anymore. You couldn't play small anymore. Maybe public opinion would turn against you. Maybe you would do things that were very different that other people may not approve of. I'm all about doing what you don't approve of. Whoa. I too have watched that movie, and I really recommend it. Finding Joe. It's all about Joseph Campbell. It's going to be here in 2 weeks. And one of the things that he tells people in college is, if you don't know, don't listen to anything else that I ever say or anyone ever says to you. Listen to this. Disappoint your parents. Do not be who they want you to be just because they want you to be that. Do something different. And so, people quit school and go off and find their bliss, because that's the point of it all anyway. So do something different. What if I really had what I wanted? What if I really could have the job that I wanted? Then I would have to look at myself and say, well, am I enough? Because as long as I can't do it because I don't have the money to do it, then I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm enough. And the fact that we don't have the money to do it is simply a reflection of the fact that we don't feel like we're enough to begin with. It's all self-worth. So if we have that, we get to look at ourselves and say, what if I really did do that? Could I pull it off? Would I have what I need to have? And even if it didn't show up the way I thought it should, would it still be enough for me? What is going on inside of me that is stopping me from living the divine life that I am meant to live? And when we allow ourselves to focus on, well, I'm stuck in this dead-end job, and it's all my partner's fault, and I had a bad childhood. When we focus on that, those are just excuses to keep us from being the incredible being that we're supposed to be. Whoa. Ernest says in one place in the textbook, just pretend as if this stuff is true. That you really are God. Well, I can't be God. I can say that I'm God, but I can't be God. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. Let's be a little crazy. Let's stop using excuses to stay afraid, because that's what it all is. They say that we're born in love and we learn fear. It all boils down to fear. What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? Well, I'm afraid that I'll get up here on Sunday and nobody will come. Well, that's kind of happened. It's okay. I'm still here. I'm afraid that what I say I'll think is brilliant and no one else will. Well, that has happened too. I'm afraid that that which I long for is not able to come into fruition. Isn't that our fear? That somehow that which we long for, that which calls to us, that somehow we don't get to have that maybe there really is a God guy up on a cloud that's out to just screw us over. Maybe that which we want will be snatched away from us at the very last second. Is that our fear? But you're never going to find out. I'm never going to find out. We're never going to find out until we go for it. And to go for it means that we have to stop pretending that we are less than who we are. We have to be willing to step forward in life. And I think, maybe it's just me, but I think that there is some effort involved. I think that when I look at that which I am afraid of square in the face, I have to move in my life. And it doesn't just happen. I've had people in this center, not lately, but people in this center get very upset with me and say, well, if this stuff works, I just want to sit on my couch and have the lottery. Well, first of all, you got to buy a ticket. Okay, I got the ticket. Now I just want to win the lottery. Well, have you become the person who can accept that kind of wealth? Is your self-worth tried and true inside of yourself that you can move forward in life? Have you let go of all of the false ideas, the lies that have been told about how you shouldn't, you couldn't, you mustn't, you've got things to be guilty about and things to be ashamed of that have to be locked in the closet, and then you have to defend that? Have you let go of all of that? Have you really moved into your clarity to embrace that divine life that you are? If you have, you can sit on the couch and win the lottery. If you haven't, it won't happen, because the outer is a reflection of the inner. Now, it is very helpful to do affirmations, to listen to what you say, to look how you perceive the world, and to make your journey more comfortable. I'm all about that. If you need money, create money. If you have to create money every month, that's fine, but let's look at the underlying cause. What is more important is to be able to stand spiritually straight and tall, and to look at the small us right in the face and say, you are not me. You are not me. I will not give you free rein of my life anymore. I will move beyond that, and that means that if I fall flat on my face, so what? I'll stand back up again, dust myself off, and chances are I'll fall flat on my face again. So what? I'll stand myself up, dust myself off, and move forward again. And when we do that, we find something inside of us that is growing and expanding and becoming. I don't know if we're ever going to get there. I think that it will be an endless, eternal state of becoming, a state of growth. We're either going to grow or we're going to shrink, and if we shrink enough, we will die. And sometimes I've been in a position in my life where I felt like I was dying. I don't know if you have too. Stuck in a job that doesn't fit, stuck in a relationship that no longer works, stuck in a life that is not mine. What has to happen? I have to get myself out. And if that means that I leave everything of security behind and step out where all I have is me, that's what it means. If that means that I choose freedom over safety, then I think that is a choice that will serve me for the rest of my life. The only way that we are going to manifest the riches, the abundance, the prosperity, the money, the things that we truly deserve in life is to be the person that we are truly meant to be. To stop telling ourselves lies, projecting them onto other people, and then creating that lie coming out of their mouth. There is no other person. We created that person to bring to light the lie that we're telling ourselves, that say we are anything less than the magnificence, the abundance, the glory of God itself manifest in form as us. Don't be afraid. Gloria Steinem said, if you're going to walk on thin ice, you might as well dance. What's the worst thing that can happen is you fall in? So what? What's the worst thing that can happen is that we fall down. So what? There is something that is uniquely each one of us. We cannot be anybody else. We must be ourselves. And as we are ourselves, truly who we are, individually as us, we open up to allow a presence and a power that is God itself to move through us. And when we do that, not only is money no problem, not only is things no problem, but our life completely transforms into the magnificent, blessed experience that it was always meant to be. That's the prosperity of becoming, and so it is.